Welcome back for another book review. Today we are talking about this one. So this is Dragon Magic, Call on the Clans to Help Your Practice Soar by Conway. So I got a comment when I talked about this in my TBR list for the month. Somebody commented this is her second to last book. Apparently she had one final one after this, which is like kind of like a Book of Shadows kind of a book that came out, and that was her last book. So this is the second to last. It came out the year that Conway passed away. So Conway is one of those authors that like sometimes her content is so good and sometimes it's so not. So a lot of her stuff, I've always, like the books that I've read before from her, like the Norse Magic book, the fairy book, I felt like I probably needed to do like a little bit more research. The fairy book, I was like, I don't know, because I don't do much with the fae. And then the Norse one, I knew a decent, well not like, I go back and forth. I personally, the Norse community is like a hot mess on a good day anyways, but like, it felt like you took like traditional Wicca and you just painted Norse on top of it. That's what it felt like. So a lot of that I was like, okay, we're just smooshing the deities into a little box. So I didn't have high expectations from a Conway book with those two in mind. And also, I think it was some elemental book of hers as well. It was constantly like, here's this thing, don't work with it. Here's this thing, don't work with it. Here's this thing, don't work with it. And you're like, oh my god. Okay, why are you telling me about it then? Like, this is kind of pointless. So like, I haven't had like the greatest experience with a Conway book, and then there's this one. I loved this book. Like, there's some that are like instant, I need to buy this book. And I have a long list of want to buy books. And this is one of those. This book is so much fun. This is the book I wanted on dragons. Am I still utterly and completely lost? Yup. Like, it answered some of the questions that I had. If you remember, some time ago, I talked about the Llewellyn's Little Book of Dragons, and that book was awful. This book is better. This answered my initial question of, how does the dragons exist? How is it supposed to work? And she describes it in this book that dragons at once upon a time were in our realm, but they also honestly, they kind of sound like aliens half the time. Like, they came from like another world and like another existence place, and like, as I'm reading this, like, the news came out that the government confirmed that aliens are real. So like, as you're reading that and they're talking about like other planets and things, you're like, so aliens? Okay? But the premise is that once upon a time, dragon and human both were on Earth. And then the dragons obviously did not get along with humans because our ancestors kind of sucked. And so being hunted, and they were like, you know what, fuck this. So they left. They went into the other world, another realm. Honestly, a lot of mythos include that like there's a separate kind of realm that exists alongside ours, and it's kind of usually called the other world. And that's typically where you're gonna find like the fae and like a lot of other mythical creatures, and usually the deities as well tend to exist on that plane of existence that is outside the human experience. And I loved the way Conway talked about this, because at least it answered my question. And she talked about how there's these different clans, and some are more willing to deal with humans than others, but others hold a grudge, and like kind of can't blame them. If you were being hunted to extinction, you probably wouldn't want to talk to the descendants of those people too much. Now, from there, this book gets real complicated, and I do sometimes have to check myself, but like, I don't know. So the thing is, she talks in this book of like all these different clans. The clan names are very like kind of easy names. Like, there's like Starborn and Star Moon or something like that clan. And then from there, there's like leaders in these different clans, and those leaders have like these kind of weird names. And that's sometimes where my brain catches, and I'm like, how do we know these names? Where did this name come from? Who decided this is the name? And like, sometimes the sketches, my brain was like, but how do you know? Like, again, it's just one of those where like, sometimes my atheist raising kind of kicks in, and I just kind of have to check myself because honestly, does it matter? No, not really. And the thing is, with this book, I could kind of appreciate some of it. So like the way this book describes it is that a lot of like the guardian dragons are like little baby dragons. Like they're just like a little, like kind of like a teenager dragon, like a little child fledgling dude chilling. And like part of their training is to help some humans, to pick one or two or however many, and to help and work with them or protect a property, and like they kind of become like a guardian of a home or a family, and like that's part of their training. And so it's like kind of this back and forth. There are, I don't remember if it was those dragons or if it was a different kind, but like there's some that like they feed off of the energy in your home, and like especially the negative energy, like to them it's like snacks. So like they happily will go and deal with it for you. And like there's other ones that you work with, and like the magic that you share between you, like they help you, you help them, because you're both learning from each other in a way. But also dragons are older than you. Even the young ones are still going to be a lot older than you, and like they have someone watching over them and babysitting them and being like ap, 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 if you, the human, start acting up. And by that, it's usually like you're exploiting the dragon, or like you are just kind of using them, honestly, and like you're not respecting them for who they are and things. Because again, it's a dragon. They are hundreds of years older than you, and like a full-grown dragon, I think she said was like 1,000 or so years old. So like they're like way older than us. And so because of that, like the fledglings still have someone babysitting them and kind of checking in on them, but the young ones are more willing to work with humans than the older dragons. And so if you have an older dragon that's willing to even like acknowledge your existence is kind of a big deal, and different clans are more willing to do that than others. She also talks about how there's different ones around the world, and how the dragons kind of have like, I think it was like a 5 or 6 element system of like air, fire, water, earth, but then it's also like, I think it was like chaos or something like that, and storm, something like that. Like there's just a lot of information. And so as a whole, like it makes me intrigued, and this does feel like a good enough book that you could probably start a journey with them. Like there is a ritual of like how to invoke with the dragons, and like I liked that. I thought it was pretty cool. And there's like a few oil blends to do that as you're making them, like you invoke like specific types of dragons, whether it's a specific one or like a specific clan. Like some of the stuff I feel like I would either need to reread, and maybe I just like didn't pay attention to that particular sentence that explained it, or need to do a little bit more research. But like as someone who was just kind of curious on the topic, the previous book I had read, again, Llewellyn's Little Book of Dragons, answered 0 questions and left me with more questions. This was much better written. The information makes way more sense of like, you're not making oils to give and put onto your dragon. You're using your oils for a magical intent, and then you have the dragons bless it. And it's kind of a combined effort of they're putting their magic and you're putting your magic in for the goal in mind. And like, just, this is one of those books that like, if you're interested in starting to work with dragons, this is the book. Now, some witches aren't going to feel the need to. That's perfectly fine. I'm still on the fence. Dragon magic is definitely, and she talks about this in this book, it's not something to dabble with. Honestly, most of witchcraft isn't a thing to dabble with, much like pretty much every other religion. You can try it out a little bit, see if it's going to work for you, do some research and see if it kind of is driving with you. But like, from that point forward, you need to be kind of serious about it and not just play with it. Just like any other religion, like spiritual beliefs aren't something to play with, it's a serious thing. No matter where you are in the world, like religion can have fun aspects, but it should still be treated as a baseline serious topic. And working with dragons, even though the average person is gonna think you're freaking psychotic, like it's okay, you can explain it. But it's just one of those things that like, if you're just like very casual about it, probably not for you. If you want to make this kind of a big part of your practice, it doesn't need to like encompass your whole thing, but like definitely plan some time, like at least weekly, monthly, that you're going to take to spend time with the dragons. Then it would be like a really good resource. Again, there's a lot of stuff in here that personally I would be really tempted to start trying out and seeing, because I have been intrigued with dragons. Like I've wanted to try some stuff out, but I didn't really know where to begin. And it can be very complex. There's not a, like, I don't know. I haven't found really great sources, minus this book, on the topic, to be honest. This is the first major source that I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually learn some stuff. And so anyways, obviously I highly recommend this if you were interested in the topic. It is a little intense, and there is a lot of like strange names, and like it's its own kind of path in some ways. There are some aspects of it that are definitely like Wicca witchcraft, but also kind of not. Like if you're interested in a dragon path, you should pick up this book. So anyways, all that said, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names over here. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, including my audiobook, that is going to be posted every Thursday on my Patreon, so do keep an eye out for that. And of course, there's other content going up there as well, but that is my current steady, I'm a month ahead on my schedule, so it is definitely actually happening. I'm already putting my schedule into, or not September, September's done. So like August and September are done. I'm into October of posting for the audiobook, so there's plenty of content going up there. So if you want to check it out, support me, it's over there. If you would like to buy my book, it's now available. I just barely published it like this month. So it is The Death Journey. My pen name is Raven Wells. I always link it down below on my blog. You can find easy access, but so far I have been able to search it and find it, which is awesome. My trilogy, that is not usually the case. It's a hit or miss for that one, but this one, for whatever reason, seems to be going quite easily to find. So you can find it in ebook, paperback, and hardback, whichever you prefer. It is currently only available through Amazon because I don't know how to make a cover. Just so we're aware, that's the only place that you can get it. Again, minus the audiobook, which is on Patreon. But if you buy it, if you wanted to like take a picture, I think they should be getting shipped anytime soon-ish now. I think you're gonna see this the day I post this, or like within the week that I record this. So like theoretically, those of you who have bought it should be getting it semi-soon because they're print on demand. So once you hit order, it gets processed, then they actually make the book. They don't have it like just sitting on a shelf. So once those go out, you will be able to like maybe snap a picture and send it to me on like Instagram or on TikTok or on Facebook, or I think you can tag me on Reels here, or if you wanted to just make like a video haul of your book, I would also like to know, because I like to know. It's exciting to see people have seen your book and being like, look at what I got. Like, it's a magical time as an author. So anyways, that is enough rambling. Until next time, blessed be.